it's like remembering, oh, this is just what dudes do to other dudes made it less invalidating. Because it was like, oh, you're just, yeah, this is just the
It's
experience
toxic
of being a
masculinity.
dude.
Congratulations, you get to be bullied into conforming to an absurd norm.
Which, like,
Welcome to the
doesn't,
club, honey.
doesn't make it go away, but at least, like, makes you feel a little bit less like you should, like, believe that you're not real. He can, like, twist it into a, like, oh, yes, this is the experience of being a man, or oh, yes, this is the experience of being a woman. Unfortunate. Content notices for this episode include toxic masculinity, transphobia and NBphobia, misogyny and transmisogyny.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rule 63 podcast. My name is Anna Marie. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
My name is Danny. I use he series and they series pronouns.
And today we are once again recording remotely.
And I think you're the one who
This is our second time doing this.
I think you have the lag this time.
I have what?
You have the lag this time.
Oh no.
Because it took you a really
I can
long
tell there's a
time
little
after
bit of lag.
stopped.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So listeners, especially if you're joining us for the first time, note that we're figuring it out as we go along.
We're still
as
under
we all
quarantine.
kind of should be.
So we
Yes.
still are recording away from each other. Hence why we're
Which
a
is
little
tragic.
wonky.
I miss you, Danny.
I miss you too. It's really sad. I'm trying not to think about it
it's
too
kind
hard.
of sad, but I have people that I co-work with, and they're really cool.
That's neat.
So they keep me sane during the day, and at night, if the Animal Crossing doesn't keep my mind at bay, I just FaceTime people.
Yeah.
And it's worked out so far
Sounds good.
for like 3 weeks or so. So I'm surviving. I'm, dare I say, thriving.
Making it so far.
It's awkward that we have to kind of be inside at this time because this past week was the Transgender Day of Visibility.
Yes.
TDOV.
That was Tuesday.
Which is what we're going to talk about today.
And we couldn't be visible.
The day we couldn't be publicly visible as trans people, as human beings at all, we have to talk about visibility. But visibility is more than literally being physically seen in the flesh.
Yes.
You know, I love being seen in the flesh, but, you know, if it can't be done this week, then so be it. Visibility is about a presence
Yeah.
in the world and making an impact in the world. And the Transgender Day of Visibility is meant to highlight not just the existence of trans people, but their contributions to society.
Yeah. Make it people aware of trans people, like, as part of the world.
Yes. Not as separate of the world, not a special phenomenon of
Yeah.
the world, although I think I'm special.
Very special.
We are just part of the world. We are part of the natural world. And that's one of probably many inspirational bits you'll hear in the episode.
Yeah.
I'm a wannabe social media influencer.
So Anna's just full of the inspiration.
I just come up with these platitudes and I spout them, and sometimes it works and sometimes it makes people's days better. And that's what matters.
And that's what
I could
matters.
annoy the shit out of 100 people, but if I help one person, that's important.
There was
And that's kind of, yeah. Go for it.
I was just gonna launch into the visibility stuff, so I didn't mean to cut you off.
Let's do it.
All right.
No, you're good.
This is really gonna be with the lag. There was a conversation going on last Trans Day of Visibility sort of about thinking a little bit harder about some of the positives and negatives that go along with both sides of it, and also in context of like different experiences of like trans men versus trans women, because
Right.
sometimes trans women are too visible. And
Correct.
yeah, and if you start talking
I'll be
like
the first to say it.
media representation, it's like too visible in very specific ways. And then a bunch of people like don't even like a bunch of cis people don't even know trans men like exist, because the only trans people they
Correct.
see are trans women who are then portrayed badly. So it's just like a nightmare.
Like, who are the famous trans men?
Buck Angel. And I want to call him famous.
Fuck.
I want to call him famous, and I don't like it. There was a single trans person in Spider-Man Far From Home. He was one of the students, and they
Oh.
never like. He doesn't have any lines or anything. He's just there.
Oh, good. Well, he's visible.
He is visible, and Shameless has trans
Bazinga.
characters, but I've never seen it.
Okay. I'm kind of bad at watching queer and trans media.
Same.
I just don't watch a lot of television in general. That's not like
Yeah.
an big brain thing. I just don't. I'm too fucking busy. I wish I could see more TV.
I don't watch
and
television.
queer. I know how that sounds, but I swear I'm not that pretentious.
Yeah.
I'm only getting a PhD.
I mean, I can only name like 2 famous trans women, so it's not that much better. There's just like random trans
but-
women in stuff sometimes.
But 1 is better than 0.
One is better than
1
0.
is so much better than 0, and 2 is so much better than 0.
It is.
Um,
And I
but,
really
yeah.
feel like, I mean, if we're going to talk about the one trans woman everybody knows, really feel like Laverne Cox has done a lot for, like, making people see trans people as, or at least trans women as, like, normal people. She's very, like,
Yeah.
normal.
yeah, she's
a
like
very normal
conventionally
person.
attractive.
Yeah.
She's just like cool.
Yeah.
And I would be friends with her. You know?
Yeah.
As opposed to me, who is uncool.
So uncool, Anna. You're totally cool.
Thank you. You're pretty cool too,
Thanks.
I think. I would totally hang out with you and be your friend for
I would,
like 10
in
years
theory.
at least. I would in theory, if I had the choice,
Yeah.
hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
There's also Caitlyn Jenner.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
I mean, why not? This is about like the positives and negatives of visibility.
You know, when her show came out, the one thing I will give it is that like there are a bunch of other trans women like on it basically telling her that she's full of shit. So like
Yes, I heard that.
at least there's that. But when she came out, I also had like recently come out, and I was trying to get my mom to use my pronouns, and she was like Laverne Cox. She was like, Caitlyn Jenner doesn't make her mom use her pronouns, and I was like, good for her. Her mom's like
Jesus fucking Christ.
90.
Yeah. It's really tough when like the one visible trans person that people know is not very good.
It's very much like you
is
can
in fact
do whatever.
very not good. Because importantly, there's more than one type of way to be trans, because there's more
Yeah.
than one type of way to be human. So different trans people have different needs.
Yeah, and
Some
then,
are just like, yeah, whatever. My relationship with my mom's complicated or whatever. Whereas some is like, no, I need this.
no. And like the expectation becomes that like if this one person it's the thing that also happens where like if somebody asks you a personal question and you get annoyed about it, they're like, my trans friend lets me ask them whatever. I'm like, your trans friend is like should stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm also not
maybe,
your friend.
Maybe you're A, I'm not them. B, maybe they're only confiding to your standards for like respectability reasons or their safety. A lot of trans people compromise their own values or their own mental health for like safety reasons.
Yeah.
To not get discriminated against.
But
how many times have you personally gone along with, oh yeah, just like change my name whenever. Like, oh, that you slipped up my name, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's so
also
frustrating because you have to give people space to change and grow and breathe, but it's also like, no, that's just the rule. Just change, please change.
Yeah, there are also people who I was like, this is the name I'm going by now, and they've been like, can I call you this instead? And I'm like, I guess.
Like, what is the point of this conversation?
At least it's not my dead name. You know?
At least it's not my dead name. Yeah, I had a nickname that was not my legal dead name for a while, but I phased that out. I kind of like phased it out. It was kind of like a cool like in between phase where some people called me one thing, one person called me the nickname.
Yeah, you like let us call you the nickname for a while, but at a certain point you were like, I definitely prefer Anna. At which point we were all like, let's try to use that.
Yes.
And it just like slowly shifted.
Uh-huh.
But at least like the mistakes weren't, they were like the nickname instead of the dead name, which I imagine was
yes,
better.
Which was very fucking useful for me and my mental health. If you're I almost gave a weird piece of advice. If you think you're trans, come up with a nickname that's totally left field and nothing to do with your name, because that'll help you kind of.
I mean, it
have
is
an in between.
Good fucking advice, though.
Better yet, even if you don't think you're trans now, make up a nickname
just in case.
Because you never know. I sometimes joke to my students, like when I first learn like their names or pronouns, I'm like, all right, they tell me their name and pronouns, and I'm like, all right, let me know if that changes.
Let me know. Love that. It was
so funny,
uncomfortable, like having to email professors when I was in undergrad, being like, hello, I know the roster says this, please do not.
Yeah. Please do not.
My grad school let you like change your name in the profile, and then it would just give the professor like that name, which was super neat. Loved that.
Right.
Although I got a lot of funny looks when I responded to Daniel, and then they moved on, but there was always the funny look.
Daniel. Sometimes I forget that your name is technically Daniel.
It's technically not. I haven't done anything.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I don't. But that legal, technical, whatever. Don't want to imply that's the real name. Whatever.
Your name is Danny.
Yes.
Fuck the government. Fuck the state.
Fuck the government.
Coming out though is a part of visibility, and merely being. This is what I tell people. Merely existing is enough. If you are a person like. If you're a woman in STEM, if you're a trans person, basically fucking anywhere, just like existing the way you are and being visible is enough, is a radical act.
Yeah. And
you're changing the world just by existing. That's another platitude of mine.
That's it.
But coming out at work was very hard for me, but it was very important for me to be like myself. It sounds so like basic to say. But just to exist as I am, especially because, one, I didn't know a single trans person in STEM until like I joined Twitter, so I was just like alone for so long.
Yeah.
And to just exist so that the next person can have an easier time.
Yeah.
Which for me is one of the biggest things about visibility, because plenty of trans people are just happy to stay in the background, and that's fine. Just existing is enough. But for me, it was important to just be like as loud and obnoxious as possible. Just be like, hey, did you know I'm trans and also gay? I'm here. I'm doing it. And I'm a scientist. And I'm doing it well. There is, of course, that pressure, that little bit of pressure to like be extra good.
Yeah.
So that people don't have a negative perception of trans people.
Yeah, if you slip up, everybody's going to be like, all right. And then the other...
Oh man, the trans person.
And then the other like side to it is if you are like a perfect sweet angel 100% of the time, when the next trans person isn't that way, it's like, why aren't you better? It's like there's no winning.
Why aren't you? I thought all trans people were like Anna.
Yeah.
So I can't set too high of a standard, but I also
you have
can't
to be a little. You have to be a little
or
shitty
necessarily
sometimes.
I have to be a little shitty. It's a balance that you have to strike.
Yeah.
To be a little shitty sometimes.
That's it.
That's the key, everyone. Lower your expectations just a little bit.
Just a little.
And everything will be great.
That'll do it. The related we're ping-ponging around because we didn't plan. Related to
hey, you don't have to tell them that.
I just need them to know why I sound like a crazy person. Related to what the list of representation we previously gave. Another like situation with that. I'm just like bringing in all the shitty stuff.
Let's go. Let's bring on the shit.
It's sort of that like it's good that we're having this representation, because there's definitely like an awareness of trans people, at least like a mildly neutral-ish awareness of trans people in the world that like didn't exist when we were younger. Like I didn't know trans people existed. Like
yeah, and now
definitely,
I
like,
would say maybe most people know at least what it is.
Yeah, but sort of right now, what people are seeing are like trans people who have a lot of money and pass very well.
Correct.
And so it's like that's not everybody's goal to pass, and even if it is your goal, not everybody's going to be able to do it or do it fast. So there's this sort of like and then there's like, yeah, there's just like this sort of like, but if you're trans, why aren't you trying harder or whatever?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's definitely the pressure to like try harder, to like do everything, quote unquote, with regards to transitioning, like full social transition, full everything, pronouns, legal stuff, medical stuff, the pressure to like conform to medical standards or medical norms. And we've done several episodes about that.
Yeah, and sometimes even other trans people, if you don't like gung-ho or like side-eyeing you, you know?
Oh yeah. I recently have been thinking about the term hun.
Oof.
Which is if you don't know what hun is, I think it's like so highly regionalized thing. I'm not sure. I've heard it's like a Baltimore thing from people that I know from Baltimore. Also our dark mother. That like if you're
Our
like
dark mother.
If you're a trans person, and this is getting into kind of semi-transphobic stuff, but you know, we're us, so you may as well assume that. But it's like
yeah.
If you are a trans woman and you see another trans person who like isn't quote unquote passing very well, you say, "You look great, hun," to say, "You do not look great, hun. You do not pass."
That's awful.
It's so bad. Yeah, and other trans women do this to other trans women.
Well, it's just the same thing where like patriarchy sets you up to like shit on other women, just with added trans bonus. You know,
bonus. What a fun punishment.
Wait, and fucking trans dudes do this to each other too, because like
tell me about it.
Women enforce the patriarchy on each other. Men enforce the patriarchy on each other. A lot of the enforcement is like specifically within your like gender group. Like so,
It's
trans
not
men,
like women were telling me what to do and how to act when I was a man. It was all other men.
Yeah, so there's
Same
a bunch
thing
of
here.
Like trans men full of toxic masculinity who like if you are even remotely okay with anything feminine are like, oh yeah, you're not a real man. And it's like, dude,
these are just men's spaces, but double bad because it's your own community shitting on you.
And it's like you experienced in theory some of like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, like how are you gonna like it's because people think if they just like aggressively reject any femininity, it's gonna make them more of men. I'm like, it's not.
Yeah,
That's just you not believing that you're a man enough, and that's a you problem.
that's a you problem, not a me problem. I think like the two main groups of like online trans women spaces are like forums from 10 or 20 years ago
Yeah.
of people whose goal was to pass, to stealth, to do everything because they would be fucking discriminated against otherwise.
Yeah.
Like roasting each other on how to look and how to act and how to like walk like a lady befitting of good breeding. And the other flip end of that is like trans Twitter.
Yeah, and there's like, I think there's this extra thing with trans stuff, because like obviously there's like the woman pulling down other women, like men pulling down other men, but like there's this bonus if you don't act enough like a proper woman, if you don't act enough like a proper man, people won't see me as a real woman or a real man. Like, people are seeing your presentation and thinking that like you not living up to that standard means that I'm not going to get like viewed right.
Yeah. Like,
You know?
oh, you're dragging the state of all trans women down by not conforming to the ideal cisgender norm.
Yeah.
Like, you're making the rest of this look bad. It
You're
goes back
making
to
us
like
look
the
bad.
visibility and like thing. Like, you're making all trans women look bad. You're making all trans men look bad.
At
by
non-binary people, you're
not
making all
conforming.
trans people look bad by just being fake, I guess.
Existing, yeah. The non-binary is another. The non-binary people are definitely something to talk about here with regards to visibility, because if we're talking about visibility and how gender binaries sort of enforce each other onto binary trans people,
The fact
another
that
wrench
people-
thrown into the mix are non-binary people that binary trans people think don't exist or shouldn't be visible because they bring down the whole binary trans community. And
I've literally watched trans people just tweet blue hair at non-binary people to like shut them down, because blue hair is now like a
merely
insult.
having blue hair makes you invalid. Ooh.
ooh ooh.
That was a very threatening ooh.
Unbelievable.
So people just we just like appropriated alt-right terms then for each other.
Yeah, because we like, it was just, blue hair was just a way to shit on feminists, and now it's just a way for trans people to shit on non-binary people. And I'm
Right.
like, ew.
This feels disgusting.
It's also, I would like to say, it's not just trans people. It's then also a ton of cis people doing it. Like, don't want to give the like impression that trans people's biggest problem is other trans people, but it is
Definitely
also a
isn't.
real problem.
definitely not the biggest problem, but a problem that we have to sort out
And it's
if we're
sort of,
going to be visible in a meaningful way
and it's sometimes like
collectively.
particularly painful, because it's like, you know, the rest of society doesn't accept you, and you're like, well, this is my community, and then your community's like, fuck you, and you're like, oh great.
Yep.
Bye.
It feels super not nice.
Yeah,
Gotta
super
say.
bad. Actually.
Fun fact. Did you know?
Did you know?
So I guess the solution here. So what's the solution here?
You better.
To just
don't
Be
listen
better,
to
but
people
also-
on Twitter mostly. I think it's
stay
helpful.
off Twitter. Do not tweet.
I think it's helpful maybe for like trans people to remember, like, sort of like when I was experiencing like some of that shit in like trans mask Facebook groups, which are extremely painful. It's like remembering, oh, this is just what dudes do to other dudes, made it less invalidating. Because it was like, oh, you're just, yeah. This is just the
it's
experience
toxic
of being a
masculinity.
dude.
Congratulations, you get to be bullied into conforming to an absurd norm.
Which, like,
Welcome to the
doesn't,
club, honey.
doesn't make it go away, but at least, like, makes you feel a little bit less like you should, like, believe that you're not real. he can like twist it into a like, oh yes, this is the experience of being a man, or oh yes, this is the experience of being a woman. Unfortunate.
Dear God.
Yeah. It's almost like being a person
trying
sucks.
to be visible.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're all just alienated under the alienation of the self under capitalism, blah blah.
Blah blah.
It just sucks to be a person. You're right. But I think I try to be visible in a way that doesn't necessarily conform to a cisgender norm. I think that's a good starting point. Like, obviously, you're just yourself and you're going to present however you fucking want to present. But sometimes I try to just, like, experiment and, like I sometimes am masculine, you know? Because cis women can be masculine. Cis women can have body hair, and a lot of people don't give a shit. Some people definitely give a shit, but
yeah,
sometimes people don't. So if cis women can do it, why can't I? Why can't I be a butch trans woman?
Yeah.
Why can't I be a butch trans lesbian?
Butch transbians are stronger than the U.S. Marines.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I had to like stop wearing makeup because I was just like, I can't deal with this, and it's really tragic.
So you sometimes want to wear makeup.
Yeah.
But you can't because people are immediately like, woman.
Shitty. Yep.
And it feels bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel bad. Feels bad, man. It's
Still,
like dyeing your
day,
fucking hair as a trans man makes you pass less because cis dudes like don't dye their hair fun colors.
Yeah, fuck cis dudes. What the fuck is up with cis dudes?
Ruining my life.
We need to empower cis people to be more visible in their gender representation.
I think gender nonconformity should be more visible across all things. Although cis people are not my focus. But definitely is something that should be like visible. Like it is definitely like not just like well, there's this person who cares. Like, I want more cis visibility of like gender nonconforming stuff because it shows it's not just those freaks, you know.
It's not just those freaks over there. It's not just those trans people over there. It's not like there's everyone else. It's like there's cis people and then those other people. Like, everyone does quote unquote gender nonconforming things. Like, if you think about like what are the standards for femininity or what are the standards for masculinity, does anyone do 100% that all the time? Or do we all just want to wear flannel shirts sometimes?
The universal flannel shirt.
The universal flannel shirt. Like, how many people can honestly say that they're like 100% feminine in every single fucking thing that they do? Probably a decent number of people, but nowhere near everybody.
Yeah.
But we just don't call that gender nonconforming because that's what we have decided to call like non-binary people or a specific subset of trans people. But they're just gender nonconforming acts are just a thing, or gender nonconforming styles are just a thing. We just think about them differently for trans people than for cis people.
Yeah. I mean, listen, emo culture in the early 2000s really brought a lot of dudes into the makeup game.
Yeah.
I'm like saying it ironically, but also unironically. Like, there's a reason emo kids got called gay, like, as an insult, you know?
Yeah. It comes back to homophobia and our expectations for gender norms.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's nothing I love more than performing hyperfemininity for my cishet coworkers. I do love being feminine a lot of the time, but some days it's just like, no, I'm gonna have it.
Yeah.
I like being feminine and I like being masculine sometimes. It's just when I wake up, I decide what the fuck I'm gonna wear, you know, like a person. I try to tell people, speaking of visibility and just like how I present myself to the world and to cis people, I like to say that the next step in my transition is learning how to make bread. because it's just something that I want to do to improve myself and realize a better part of myself. We think of transitioning as this sort of like separate thing from all of everyday life, but it's just like making a change in your life so that you're more comfortable. It's a little more of a stronger cocktail or a little more extreme way, but it's just like, I changed my life in a positive way. It's like gaining a skill or going to school. And transitioning.
There are also parts of like transitioning that go a lot more slowly, I think, than people think they do.
Yeah, because like rich people can do all this shit overnight. Oh God, changing your clothes is so expensive
and also hire stylists. Like, because like when you have been like walking through the women's section your entire life, and you're like, okay, I want to start presenting as a dude. You're like, I don't know what to put on my body. Like, I get wear pants, but that's not enough.
No,
it's not enough information to go from.
Definitely not. So again, this is a problem with like only seeing the top 1% trans people who can hire stylists and can afford their legal name changes instantly. And
they never have to go through the phase of looking like a middle schooler while they're in their 20s.
Oh yeah,
dressing like a middle schooler while they're in their 20s.
God, the process of like wanting to dress like a teenager because you're a teenager on the inside, because you're going through all these changes and in some cases on hormones, and so it's like, I want to wear all pink.
I don't know if I told you this.
And you're at work at a PhD. But go on.
Sorry again that we keep, if to the listener, if you keep hearing us like say two different things, it's because we have a lag between ourselves.
Yeah, we're both rambly people. Sorry.
But my friend, I went to visit her, and she described my new style, my new dude style, because I'm finally settling in. You want to know what she called it?
What's your dude style?
Neo-Confederate chic. And I'm like, how dare you? But then I thought to myself, okay, so... And then I thought to myself, Anna and I grew up in the same hometown, so Anna's becoming a horse girl, and I'm apparently fucking neo-Confederate.
That's incredible.
Which is not my belief system, but maybe how I dress.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Just as you do not ride horses.
I do not ride horses. I just love the aesthetics of the horse girl. Oh my God. This is so off topic.
You need to get a pickup truck. Yes.
Oof. You know, a pickup truck might be fun. But anyway,
right.
In Animal Crossing, I unlocked the Able sisters today, and they have like this full cowgirl outfit. And so I bought, it's like pink and blue cowgirl outfit, and I'm like, this is the ultimate manifestation of my gender. Trans cowgirl. Wow. I'm so fucking happy.
I love that. I'm so supportive. I need to see that.
Thank you. No, thank you. You can come to my island later. Maybe this is why queer people love Animal Crossing and games like this, where we just wear whatever we want.
To make a little cute character. Yeah.
Visibility, recognition, video games, media, representation. It's all entangled.
Just keep
needless to say, representation is that's essentially a long. That's what we do in this in all our episodes. We just list topics and how they're all interconnected. How cisgender norms inform trans spaces. How capitalism is just fucking everyone over. We can just go on.
Our two main things: fuck capitalism, be trans.
It's like the next logical step of be gay, do crime. Be trans, be Antifa. Be trans, do anti-fascist action.
Yes.
It's the next step in the ladder.
Keep ascending.
Yeah. Do we have any other thoughts about visibility at this time?
If this is going out on Friday, do we want to talk about Tuesday?
What?
Our new developments?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess. So we have some of you may have been discovering us from this, but on Trans Day of Visibility, the day actually that it was March 31st, we posted to a bunch of new social media. So, Danny, do you want to tell them about all our new social media you can follow us on?
We have a Twitter, which is at the Rule 63 Pod, because for some reason
they really
we can't have any of the fucking things I was trying to put in.
The Rule 63 Pod.
We have a Facebook page, which just search bar the Rule 63 Podcast. We have a website.
Yes.
Which is the Rule63podcast.com.
We are the Rule 63 Podcast, not
one.
Rule 63. We are the Rule 63. The one and only.
We have an Instagram, which is the Rule 63 Podcast.
Great. Well done on the branding.
We have a Twitch channel, which we will live stream on eventually.
Yes.
We'll
get that going in the coming weeks.
Know.
And last but not least,
we have a Patreon.
Correct. So if you want to support your favorite trans creators on this week
your
of
favorite ones,
Trans Day of Visibility, your favorite ones, us, you can go support us on Patreon. You could search the Rule 63 Podcast on Patreon or go to our website for more info. Everything's interconnected, so you'll find us somehow.
You can find things from the other things.
We have tiered rewards, so you can give us just as few as $1 or $2, and you'll get special bonuses, one of which is, of course, our love and support. You can have your name featured on the podcast if you give a little more. You can get access to bonus content. It'll be really fucking cool.
It'll be so exciting. We're going to build a community together.
Help us keep the lights on. And importantly, form a community of other fans and a community of other people who want to learn more about trans shit and participate in political action. And that's what we're all about up in here.
There will be a Discord server associated with the Patreon tiers up and running very soon.
Very soon. Thank you, Danny, for setting all of these things up. Thank God you bless. For listening to us. Is there anything else we want to say? Any closing thoughts? Oh, I wanted to ask, who are your favorite trans creators so we can plug them?
Yes. I follow not a lot of people.
That's fine. Similarly, I don't watch a lot of media, but I have a bunch of YouTubers.
I've started perusing some of the trans people that you sent me links to. But my main trans content creator is our Dark Lord Mother.
Our Dark Mother herself. Yeah. Notice me, Mom. It's
Notice me, Mom.
Natalie Wynn, aka ContraPoints, who has recently been a very controversial figure, but
here we are.
She has done a lot of promotion for the trans community and a lot of really good, important work, especially with regards to as much as she would hate to hear this, is alt-right related stuff. She was the person that woke me up to a lot of the stuff going on in the alt-right and how important that is to deal with. But other than her, some of my favorite trans creators include Alice Quinn Rose. Phenomenal YouTuber, did a video called, I think it's called The Tale of Frank and Alice, which is a phenomenal short film about transitioning that you are going to watch. You're going to watch it. It's not a question of go watch it if you want to. You're going to.
If you are on Twitter, I have a couple of people, actually.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I think it's Casey Explosion is
Casey
how it's
Explosion.
Pronounced.
Yep.
Who also Twitch streams and was part of a very important part of that H Bomber guy stream, I believe.
Yeah.
The Donkey Kong one.
Yes. The infamous Donkey Kong one.
And, I should have remembered her name before I did this.
It's all right.
Back to Anna.
Some trans men, or rather the one trans man that is my favorite, Boyform on YouTube. Dylan has done amazing video essays in the past year or so, and I hope to continue watching him. He did a great video on male gynecology, which I was fascinated by. Who else do I have? This is just my YouTube subscriber list. Sorry, just scrolling. There's a lot of people here.
Here, I got one.
Good, go.
If you to look her up on Twitter, it's at Mags Visags, MagsVisaggs, and she writes comic books, and is also active on Twitter and talks about comics and trans stuff.
Neat. I'm gonna promote your girl Left at London, a musician,
Yes,
and incredible tweeter and TikToker, and she's just wonderful and hilarious. If you remember the Vines, everything she's ever made is fucking iconic instantly. Solid golds. Do you remember the I do that Vine? That was her.
Yes. Also, there's only one race, the human race.
What about NASCAR?
What about NASCAR? So that's her.
Chef's kiss. Perfect tweet.
Perfect.
Oh, we're passing by my YouTube list, and I found Nikki Tutorials, and I was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nikki Tutorials came out. If we're going to talk about visibility, that was pretty special.
Yes.
Just a couple months ago. What a way to start 2020.
And she has such chaotic makeup videos. It's really fun.
Yeah. Like, she was always my favorite beauty YouTuber, and now, surprise, trans.
See, you just knew in your heart of hearts.
I knew in my heart of hearts. Okay, I found an actual somewhat full list of my favorite people. Okay, Zoe Blade is a wonderful musician who does the music for some of ContraPoint's videos.
Doesn't she do some of it for Philosophy Tubes as well?
Philosophy Tube? Yes, she's been very big lately. Corvidae is a non-binary trans guy and a decent YouTuber. Let's Talk About Stuff by Sarah Zed. Great video essays there. She made 2 of my favorite videos about transitioning. They're called A Video About Transitioning, and I think something similar for like a follow-up. There's like A Video About Transitioning, and then there's like Hello, I Hate My Body, both of which are about coming out, which are phenomenal.
Who was that?
Sarah Z of, I think you can YouTube Let's Talk About Stuff, and she'll come up. Luxander is a good non-binary person to follow. Mia Mulder makes great video essays as well. MiaMulder. Of course, Bread Mom, Steph Sanyati. Love watching her. She hasn't been very active on YouTube lately, but Instagram, she's been pretty active. And something that might be of use to our trans listeners is trans voice lessons. So if you just YouTube trans voice lessons, one word, you'll find, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but she's great. She's an amazing voice coach, and she does a lot of really fun, informative videos about how voice works, and that they've been super helpful for me.
Yes.
So that is my grand YouTube list.
I think you associated the wrong name with one of those people. I just want to not put incorrect information out.
Okay. Do you remember?
What video did you say Sarah Zed made?
Sarah Z?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get confused because there's 2 Sarah Z's and one of them goes by Sarah Zed.
Sarah Zed is the one who does media criticism.
Yes, okay, and Sarah Z is, sorry, I messed it
Okay.
up. Sarah Z does Let's Talk About Stuff. But that's my
Sarah
list.
Z is from Canada, hence the Z.
Hence the Z, yes. There.
Yeah.
I think at one point they actually found each other on Twitter and were like, oh shit, we gotta sort this out.
Same hat.
Same hat. Same hat. Yeah. Incredible. So those are our favorite trans content creators. And if you want to support these trans content creators, go support us on Patreon and go give us some likes and some follows. I have to rewrite this whole fucking and send off scripts because I had like just gotten it. Like it took me like
now
15 episodes to get. Follow us on Spotify, subscribe on iTunes, and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes.
But you can't do both of those things.
I could do those things, but then I have to follow up with follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, support us on Patreon. Is that
Find
it?
us on social media.
Find us on social media.
Believe in yourself.
We're
if
on
you go
all
to
the...
our website, it's linked.
Yes, the rule63podcast.com, and figure it out from there, you filthy animals.
Yeah. You have brains, use them.
Yeah, we have faith in you. We're going to empower you to find us your goddamn selves. Okay. With that, thank you for listening, and we hope you have a good day. Bye.
Yes. Bye.